Good evening, Kindred. I am Teranz, and welcome back to more Vampire Coteries of New York. Last time we met with someone who, Benoit, who showed us someone who had the true faith. So they actually have a strong belief and conviction in God that it actually harms vampires. And we also met with the gangrel to start making headway and becoming friends with her. So now we're gonna rest. Not long after you wake up tonight, Gregory knocks on the door of your apartment. Hey, I came to pick you up. Miss Langley wants to see you. Any idea what she needs me for? I'm not in the position to ask. He smiles politely. Car's waiting, shall we? You wrestle with the same thoughts as a few nights ago. Maybe you should just leave. Disappear. Let Sophie find somebody else to employ. But then you remember the Anarch thug being cut down by a Kadir and how close you were to that same fate not even a week ago. And that might still happen if you step out of line. You follow suit. As with your previous visit here, Sophie seems not entirely present when you enter. Her eyes are locked onto one of the paintings in the room. You're pretty sure it was here earlier, but she's behaving as if she's seeing it for the first time in her life, entirely entranced. Gregory clears his throat. Sophie turns to the both of you, a bit of irritation in her countenance that soon gives way to a pleasant, warm smile. You're here. Excellent. Thank you, Gregory. Her driver leaves and she turns her attention to you. I hope you had a good few nights and made some new acquaintances, but I have to say, I'm happy to see you, Teranz. Thank you for coming. The change in mood of the room is so sudden and startling. It makes you consider the power of vampiric charisma. Rationally, you know you're being manipulated, but you don't even care. Her eyes, her motions, her entire body language all feels 100% genuine in expressing legitimate interest in you and your well-being. I have a request for you this night. I need you to find somebody for me and make a delivery. She points to the statue at the side of the room. You notice a plain-looking flash drive lying down on the edge where the inanimate archer's bow touches the pedestal. The man you'd be looking for calls himself Kaiser. He has eyes and ears all over New York, and it's rare for something to happen here without his knowledge. I need you to take this flash drive and bring it to him. In exchange, he will give you an address, which I need to know as soon as possible. You're about to ask what's on the drive, but Sophie proves to be one step ahead of you. Oh, don't worry about the contents. They are encrypted, a precaution for if the data falls into the wrong hands, but it won't, correct? She gives you a smile that just a handful of nights ago would make you feel like melting. Oh, and Teranz, Kaiser's a Nosferatu. He is twisted and deformed. Kaiser is a Nosferatu, that twisted, deformed lineage of Kindred. He is old, and his age has made him even more paranoid than others of his clan tend to be. He holds many havens and changes them often. From what I've gathered, he or one of his servants should be found at the park on Coney Island tonight. You'll have to identify them somehow. I'm told Kaiser has spent many of his nights these past few years being driven around the city in a black limo. Maybe keep an eye out for it. That smile again, but much shorter. Anything more you can tell me about Kaiser? He's been here a long time, about as long as I have. He's got into a lot of trouble for exchanging information with both the Anarchs and the Camarilla in the past, but ultimately got off scot-free. Kaiser's web of information proved to be strong enough to shield him from the consequences of playing both sides. Some say that's the best proof of his abilities. In any case, be careful when talking to him. He's very particular about everyone's etiquette, except his own. Good night and good luck. She flashes one last smile at you and turns back to the painting, clearly done with the conversation. You pocket the flash drive and head out towards Coney Island. Lineage, a vampire's bloodline. It takes you the better part of an hour to reach the lights and sounds of the Coney Island amusement park from the city. The drive is almost pleasant this time of night. Thank God for the belt parking. There are plenty of people here tonight, but nobody who stands out as a traveling purveyor of secrets. Then again, if they did stand out, it would be kind of pointless, right? Nothing to do but figure out the right approach. I'm not seeing the need for blood right now, so helps if I would be on the right screen. There are plenty of nooks and crannies to investigate around here, but if Kaiser frequents this area, there has to be some kind of clue to grab onto, right? You spend a good hour snooping around, eyes peeled for the black limo Sophie mentioned, or any sign that a Nosferatu or any vampire has their haven around these parts. Zilch. Annoyed, you turn back towards the lights of the amusement park, only to find a man standing in your way. Wearing an oversized jacket, he has the air of a junkie or dealer about him. Who knows what he's got in those pockets? You lost? Nah, I'm not lost. I'm just taking in the sights. Sure you are. He looks at you intently. He's trying to guess your real purpose here. Get out of here before I kick your ass. Sure, man, whatever you say. Just tell me if you know a guy named Kaiser, and I'll be on my way. Nah, I don't know who that is. He's a terrible liar, clearly full of shit. Listen, man, I need you to contact your boss, and I need you to do it now. Quit wasting my time, or things will get unpleasant real soon. He doesn't take that well. He reaches into his pocket, produces a gun. You rush him. Bang. The bullet hits you in the arm and goes out the other side. It hurts, but what would be a debilitating wound for a mortal is just a nasty scratch for you. It takes a bit of brawling. The man's stronger than you expected, but using your powers, you're able to overcome him. With a few hits to the jaw, the man passes out from the pain. Searching him, you find a fancy phone that doesn't look like anything readily available on the market. The phone's locked, but a recent smudge on the screen gives you a rough idea of what the combination might be. You get it right on the second try. There's just one number in the phone book, unlabeled. Dial it and hear someone picking up. The voice is like a rusty pitchfork scraping against gravel. Alright. Jackie, you're messing up my snuff session here. Better be something big. Hi, I have something for you from Sophie Langley. Care to come pick it up? Silence, not even a sound. Call ends. Try calling again, but the number is blocked. Nothing to do but wait. See if he shows up. Got 15 minutes pass before a black limo stops near where you're waiting. One door opens an invitation. Inside of the limo used to be a luxury lounge, the kind with a stripper pole and a bar full of alcohol. But it currently has none of that. Instead, there are monitors and consoles. There are dozens of displays, each one showing something different. Surveillance camera, footage, stock market quotes, television news, emails, tweets, silent movies, lo-fi footage of a gory torture session. You wonder if the limo's owner can focus on anything while surrounded by all this visual noise. And then you realize there's nobody there. Or is there? A man blinks into existence on a leather-covered couch, attempting to maintain something that approximates a regal presence. We're 100% sure it's Kaiser. Surrounded by dimly lit computer screens, his features are even more ghastly than you imagine. All sharp angles of twisted bone, mangled flesh, and crooked teeth. He bears them in an awful parody of a smile. Suddenly, someone grabs you from behind, twists your arm, and pushes your head against the car's roof. I got him, boss. I have him. Nosferatu chuckles. Oh, congratulations, dickweed. Could have done that before you gave away the fucking phone. Just let him go already. But you gonna make me repeat myself, you thick motherfucker? You let's go. Take a look at him. The man is confused and clearly hurting. He flashes an angry stare but obeys his boss's orders to the letter. What are you waiting for? A formal invitation? Get in the car. We have some talking. The door closes behind you. So, Langley, huh? I'm guessing you've got something for me then? You reluctantly pull the flash drive from your pocket and slowly pass it to the Kaiser. I just want to say, and maybe he does, I really keep wanting to say the Kaiser. Anyway, he plugs it into a USB port on the arm of his chair and displays the data on one of the screens that happens to be turned away from you. It takes him about a minute to access the data. Who do you people think I am? I saw this footage a week ago. He removes the flash drive and throws it back at you in disgust. Tell Sophie the deal's off. She wants her address. She can give me something else. Oh, guess I can't do that one. So, you take on the most persuasive voice and amicable stance you can imagine. You take on the most persuasive voice and amicable stance you can in what basically constitutes the lair of a megalomaniacal monster. Man. Words are hard sometimes. Alright. Come on, man. Don't send me back empty. Don't send me back empty-handed. Take the data and honor the deal. Mean a lot to me. The sound the Nosferatu produces is supposed to be laughter, you think. You're pretty sure he'll fall over and die at any second if it's anything other than that. Ooh, look at me. I'm so pretty and well-spoken. I'm gonna feed you this bullshit and you're gonna cram it in and ask for seconds. Who the fuck do you think you are? You know what I should do to you for trying to pull that trick on me? I should mutilate your face and rub sulfur into the wounds, rip your tongue out and use it to stuff a fucking turkey. Only see, I'm in a gracious mood tonight, plus I hate turtles. They disgust me. So I'm going to give you a chance to make this little transgression up to me. I'll contact you. Maybe I'll even throw in that stupid address. And I will not finish the rest of that sentence. But right now, unless you want me to get really pissed off, you'll show yourself out. You're pretty sure you're done here, and you get out. Close the door behind you and the car immediately starts backing up. The opaque window slides past you and soon the limo's on its way. Kaiser's lackey is nowhere to be seen, so you make your way to your car and drive back, wondering what tomorrow brings. I want to keep meeting people or start doing quests for people. Start doing quests for people. Once again, you cross the gate of Prospect Park and head straight for where you saw the barrel dude. Minutes pass. Finding no signs of Tamika, you begin to worry something might have happened to her. Suddenly you hear rustling coming from the nearby bushes, and it's not the stray cat kind of rustling either. Tamika? The rustling stops, if only for a second. Suddenly the bushes part and Raoul walks out, desperately trying to look confident. You wish. Listen, I want to have a word before Tam gets here. She seems to like you for whatever strange reason, but the way I see it, you're a nuisance at best. At worst, you're a threat. I get it. You don't like me. Forgive me if I don't lose any sleep over it. You should be, because when I don't like someone, I do something about it. And it's usually not pleasant. Tamika's my sister in every sense of the word that counts. Anything happens to her that I find even remotely your fault, I'm coming at you. Is that clear? Crystal, now get the fuck out of my face. Yeah. Just want to make sure we understand each other. What I'm saying is, if anything happens to Tamika, I'm holding you accountable. All of a sudden, the sound of footsteps reaches your ears. It's just faint enough to not be ostentatious, but still loud enough to hear. You can tell that whoever is approaching wants to make their presence known. Both you and Raoul turn just in time to see Tamika emerge from behind an old sycamore tree. It's hard to tell just how long she's been listening in on your conversation. In any case, she walks up and speaks, addressing no one in particular. Did I miss anything? Nothing too important. We were just having a chat. Where are you now? She gives Raoul a scornful look, like she's about to rub his nose in his own crap. What about? Nothing. You know where to look for me, Tam. Sure do. With that, Raoul takes his leave. Tamika waits in silence just long enough to make sure he can no longer hear her. And she addresses you. I have a favor to ask. Okay, what is it? I have an errand to run. I was hoping you to come with me. There's a place east of here, a short walk. We should be back in about 2, maybe 3 hours. Wait, we're walking as in on foot in New York City? I don't like cars, alright? They remind me of old times, before I became this. It can be distracting. So, can we go? Sure, we can go now if you're ready. Well, alright. So you head towards the parking lot accompanied by Tamika and a lot of unanswered questions. Following Tamika's directions, you finally arrive at the Evergreen Cemetery, one of the oldest burying grounds in Brooklyn. You enter through the southwestern gate and follow your companion through the sea of tombstones. It's a nice enough place as far as graveyards go, much less homogenized than the usual flat field littered with identical markers. Tamika confidently presses on, swerving and weaving along a pre-programmed path. It's clear that she's been here more than a few times. She finally makes a sharp left and takes a few more steps down a gravel walkway, coming to a sudden stop in front of a modest headstone. The inscription reads, Lucas Santiago, beloved sister and daughter, born 1991, taken from us too soon. With her eyes fixed on the gravesite, she lets out an absent-minded utterance. I need a moment alone. Not long. 5 minutes at the most. You look around in search of a good spot to wait for her to pass the time. At the far end of a nearby lawn, you notice a lone bench situated under a weeping willow. Suddenly you hear voices, distant but slowly approaching. Judging by the tone and timbre, you're guessing it's a couple of teenagers out to get their late night kicks among the dearly departed. Might be a good chance to feed. Then again, you could just pass the time walking around the area. It's actually quite nice in a dark, somber kind of way. I'll take a Take your time. I think I'll go grab myself a drink. Just do it quietly. I don't want any trouble. Not here. Leave Tamika alone and follow the voices. Soon enough, you come upon a couple in their late teens. Judging by the thick eyeliner and their clothes, consisting mostly of black leather and lace, you'd venture a guess that they'd love nothing more than to meet an actual vampire. You're happy to oblige. As you emerge from the shadows, you can feel your all intensify. The boy and girl watch you, completely awestruck, waiting for you to approach. The slightest gesture is enough to shoo the boy away. He sits on a nearby bench and watches you, completely enamored, as you press your lips against the girl's neck. It's a weird sensation to feel actual, honest to God pride in a victim's blood. But here you are. She's glad to have been chosen in this way. So there's no good reason to discriminate, and also take a sip from the guy. His BO is pretty terrible. The taste of his blood isn't half bad. Hoping the teens' post-kiss days will make your face just an impression in their memory, you leave them on the bench, just as they let their excited hormones run wild and start making out furious. You half expect Kadir to materialize, sword in hand, to deal with these loose ends, or with you, for leaving them to roam like you did. You'll need to be more careful in the future. Finally, you get back to the tree and find Tamika sitting on the bench. Without a word, you sit next to her. You look over, doing your best not to stare. She looks down, crossing her arms and putting her hands on her shoulders. In an instant, the ferocious savage disappears, replaced by a vulnerable young woman. I think I'm done. You okay? I'm better now. Sorry, I guess I should tell you what that was about. She looks away. You can tell she's struggling to open up to you. You remain silent, trying not to make her feel uncomfortable. Present Brace not far from here, in this cemetery. A fitting spot, I suppose. It was close to a decade ago. I had been on the road for a couple years at that point, hitchhiking from one town to another. New York was supposed to be just another stop. Then I met Jezebel. She was strong, smart, independent, seemed like someone I could trust, someone I could get close to. She never made me feel inadequate or ashamed. She could hold her own in a fistfight too. Funny thing, though, she only wanted to meet during nighttime. I didn't think much of it. Even came up with excuses for her busy, eccentric, whatever worked. Until one night, she sank her teeth into my neck. A fighter, a lover, an undead abomination. She sounded like quite a gal. She was. I honestly learned more about her after she was gone. She was the real deal. An old school gangrel, a veteran of the Battle of New York. She looks away and grows reticent for a brief moment. Anyway, she left soon after turning me. I think the Conclave of Prague really shook her up. Wait, the Conclave of what now? Prague. It's a city in Central Europe. It was supposed to be neutral ground. A good place to discuss politics and strategy. It ended up almost turning into a civil war. Next thing you know, the Anarchs were expunged from the Camarilla. All they had done for our kind, the blood they spilled, didn't amount to a thing. I can't blame Jezebel for feeling betrayed, but yeah, I can't. Even though I still had Raul and Luca, I was still furious and terrified. Luca died a few years later. Operation Lights Out, they called it. It was a coordinated assault by the Second Inquisition. Or genocide by any other name. Second Inquisition is the name among vampires. Basically, the Catholic Church, the Leopold Society, and some of the alphabet agencies teamed up to start exterminating vampires. Her family got together, bought up a plot, and buried an empty casket. I guess they wanted some closure. Can't fault them for that. Even though she's not really here, I like to come and visit from time to time. It reminds me of who I am, keeps me in check, keeps the beast at bay. Also, this being the place of my embrace, you have to appreciate that level of iron. She straightens up and looks as if something just occurred to her. Sorry, I don't know what came over me. One minute I'm all grunts and stares, the next I'm giving you my biography. I guess I'm just tired of being scared, alone. You're looking for a place to belong. In all the wrong places, it seems. At this point, I'm looking for something to believe in, someone I could give a damn about. Got me, for whatever it's worth. She looks at you, her mouth drops open. Ever so slightly, you can tell she wasn't expecting that. Yeah, I do, don't I? You open your mouth before you can make a sound to make emotions you to keep quiet. She lifts her head and sniffs at the air. Her ears perk up and her eyes widen. Suddenly, she pushes you with all of her strength, sending you flying off the bench. Before you even hit the ground, an immense shape flies into view and smashes down into the bench, splintering it to pieces. With the blood surging through your veins, you pounce onto your feet. You look at the mass of fur and muscle that was nearly pulverized you. The creature rears its head, gives you a deranged stare. Then it then turns to Tamika. She seems utterly terrified, frozen in place, as if she literally just saw a ghost. You notice the creature shift its weight as if preparing to pounce. Feeling as if your muscles have turned to steel, you ram the creature before it can throw itself at Tamika. The beast flies through the air and smashes it back against a tree. In a matter of seconds, however, it gets back to its feet. Your attack may have surprised it, but clearly didn't do any real damage. The creature then turns towards you. For a second or two, it moves its mouth awkwardly, as if trying to remember how to form words. Stay out my ground. The creature runs off towards a nearby clearing when all of a sudden a gunshot sends it tumbling into the ground. A group of well-armed men in body armor emerge from the shadows in an orderly formation and move in closer around the creature. Not sure what to make of what's happening, you figure it's best to get out of sight. As you start backing away into the nearby bushes, you notice Tamika following your lead. From the relative safety of the thick foliage, you watch in silence as the group of armed men subdue the creature using steel nets and cattle prods. In the corner of your eye, you catch Tamika looking away as if she finds this whole spectacle somehow distasteful. She speaks under her breath, voice shaking. And we could tell it here, see no reason to object. The walk back turns out to be a quiet and somber experience. You both walk in silence, the city a blur of lights and cars careening by. You look over to Tamika. She seems lost in her thoughts. Finally, you decide to break the silence. What the hell was that back there? A werewolf? No, if it were, we probably wouldn't be talking right now. Still, in a way, that might have been preferable. She rubs her temples, trying to collect her thoughts. Among those of my clan, we tell stories about the Scarred One. The Scarred One? That's the only name he's known by. It's a cautionary tale for young Gangrel. He's what happens when you let the beast take over. I always figured him to be more of a metaphor. Seeing him in real life, it's just like if a Christian just happened to run into Judas Iscariot one day. Seeing him hunted down by the SI, I don't know what to think. I don't even know where to start thinking. Deciding to give her some space, you spend the rest of the walk in silence. Soon enough, the familiar tree line of Prospect Park comes into view. You stop by the entrance nearest to Tamika's haven. She keeps walking, without so much as a word or a glance in your direction. She stops after several paces and turns back towards you. I'm sorry. Thank you for coming with me, but now I have a lot of shit to figure out. Once I do, I'll let you know. With that, she disappears among the trees. Seeing no point in sticking around, you take your leave. Alright, well, that will more than do it for this episode. A little bit longer than I planned, but anyway, I'd like to thank you for watching, and you know what to do.